Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, meeting minutes. The review of January 25th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then review of the February 1st, 2021 meeting minutes, special meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion
So
to approve.
moved.
Second?
Sure, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Still no public participants?
Nope, nobody's waiting.
Okay. And no guests. All right, any good stuff?
Congratulations to everybody in the highway department. The roads and sidewalks look fantastic.
Good.
Yes, they do. North Street Bridge, one lane's open again. I see the power companies over there starting to rearrange stuff, so we are moving forward.
Is that what all the poles are for?
Yeah, they're setting their poles while they can get across the bridge.
Okay.
That makes sense. They're good. They're going to move the wires off the side away from the cranes and.
Oh, okay.
Phil and Charlotte are coming on as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Highway Department.
So-
Road and standard approval.
Yeah, so these first three things here are things that we do every year. They're a requirement, V-Trans, especially when we're going to be going after a Class 2 grant, which I will be bringing to the select board for approval at the next meeting. So the first one is basically just that it's saying that we are approving and will utilize the V-Trans road and bridge standards. These are the engineering standards. So when we do any sort of a project that has their funding involved, we have to use their specifications. And this just basically says we agree to do that.
Okay.
So this will need to be signed by Judy, I guess if you want to approve it.
Okay.
The only thing that this is basically all pretty much set in stone other than the sub base. They leave that open to the individual municipalities to determine how much sub base, and I basically just follow the engineering standards that everybody else uses, plus what we've used in the past of 12 inches and then 3 inches of asphalt. So it's pretty cut and dry. Engineering standards, we just have to approve them so that they know that we're willing to use their standards whenever they give us money, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I can stop in and sign that tomorrow. Anybody have any questions on that or no?
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. All right.
Do we need a motion to approve that, or is that?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the road and bridge standard approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, the certificate of compliance for the town road and bridge standards and network inventory.
Right. So again, basically the same thing, except it also asks if we have a roadway inventory, which we do have a roadway inventory, but whenever you check the box up above we further certified that our adopted standards do meet or exceed the minimum standards, it automatically double checks do and do not have. I don't know why. But that's something it had done in the past, and it did it again whenever I did it. So Basically the same thing. Just says that we understand the road and bridge standards and that we have a network inventory that we maintain. So it's basically just another piece of this same thing.
That's kind of weird. How can we do and do not?
I don't know. I tried to check the box both ways and it doesn't. As soon as you check up above that we do, that our standards do meet or exceed, it automatically checks do and do not by itself and you can't change it. So I looked back at last year's and it was the exact same way. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just something that they did on their form. It's weird.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
So should we cross one out like we either do or we don't, right?
Yeah, I was just doing what we submitted last year. I wanted to make sure it looked the same and it was identical. He just submitted both. So I think probably to the state it means something. It just doesn't to us, is my guess. So
Okay.
I'm just kind of trying to follow what had been done in the past because apparently it was not an issue back then with the state.
So is there a motion to approve the certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, financial report.
So the financial report is, again, something we do every year. This is based off of our upcoming budget. Basically, what they're looking for is that we spend at least $300 per mile on our roadways, and we spend way more than that. So this just breaks down the budget, and we're certifying that, yes, indeed, we do spend more than $300 per lane mile.
Okay. Any questions on that, anybody? Or is there a motion to approve the annual financial report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And so I will have I'm finishing up the project description for our Class 2 grant for this year. We will be getting the one for basically it was 2 years ago, but they're going to award it this year. And so we're going to try to apply for another one this year that will be approved in May and allow us to hopefully pave June, July, because the idea is to sort of tie on to the bridge work when it's getting done. It would be North Street going north and then up all the way out on the Class 2 there as far as we can go, probably 1,400 feet or so. But the idea is to try to get it ready to go so that we can sort of either utilize the same contractor that's already there and mobilized, or just tie on to that whole work in progress kind of a thing. So you will be seeing an application for a Class 2 project at the next meeting.
All right. Okay, operations report.
This is John's report. Again, it's really for your information. If there are any questions or anything, I'll try to answer them myself, or I can get some clarification from John. But this is kind of the last month of what was happening. The big thing here, I think, is it says that, we had 8 snow events and we only have 25 hours of overtime, which I think is really, really good.
Yeah.
And then it also, Bruce, for you, it shows how much snow, or I'm not sorry, how much salt is being ordered and brought in. So, so if there are any questions, like I said, I'll do my best to answer them. If not, I'll get the information to you if you have any questions.
Where are we budget-wise as far as the use of salt at this point?
We are under budget. I'll have to pull that for you and get that to you. Actually, I just did the budget status report is in the packet, and that will tell you right where we're at.
During the winter months, we're kind of used to seeing a salt report every 2 weeks. How much was used, what we've got left, percentages.
Okay. Well, let me look I can tell you real quick here. Well, you know what? It's combined with everything. So in the budget, salt and plow blades and other things are all combined together. So I can give you a number based off of that, but it's not going to be just salt by itself. So if you look further back in your packet, it's probably hard to get. It's all the way to the back.
What percentage have we used of our allotment this year?
hold on just a second. Let me do the math. We have a budget of 72.5. We've used 18, roughly 25%.
That's all we've used.
Yeah. And again, that's as of February 5th. So these last loads that he got, that's in his report, those have not been in, they're not in here yet because those bills have not been paid. So there's going to be a little additional 130 more tons. So that's going to add to that. The numbers are as of February 5th. So they're usually a little bit behind because it's not showing the bills that we're going to be going out from that date forward.
So on his report where he has ordered 4 loads of salt and then down below got 4 loads of salt, does that mean he received those that he ordered up above?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so. Yes. Yes.
And is that a 130 ton per load, or is that 4 loads?
I believe that's a total.
For
That's
4
salt.
loads.
Yeah. It's 4 loads for a total of 130 ton.
And that's just January.
Right. Right. So if you remember last time we talked, we had used total to date, we've used 250 ton, I believe. So we're going to see that ratchet up a little bit, but I'll put together a report that's just salt, like you're talking about, because the numbers are a little bit skewed because there's other things in there. We bought plow blades and things like that. So that 25% isn't exactly 25% salt. So I'll break that out and put that in at the next meeting. I'll break out just where we're at with the salt and how much we had anticipated spending in salt and where we're at.
So did we buy blades for all the plows or just plows that needed it?
We buy them as we need them.
Okay.
And they do try to have another set or
Yep.
something right there in case, so that they're not waiting for an order to come in.
Right,
So
and they're expensive.
Yeah, but exactly. So you don't, once you get close is when you want to buy them. And it just kind of depends too on how many storms we get and all that. If it's a if it's a very light winter, you're not going to use as much. But John tries to buy them for when they're needed, not having a bunch on the shelf. He wants to, he knows, okay, in a month or so I may need them. I'm going to go ahead and order them. But I don't believe he's got, stacks and stacks of them sitting there for all the equipment.
No.
Well, he couldn't afford it, so.
Right. So I'll get the breakdown of the salt and put that in the packet for the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Any other questions regarding the report?
So the new guys, they're getting CDLs. Where are we in that?
Yeah, so one of them already has a CDL.
Okay.
The other one is we've signed him up. He's studying so he can go test to get his permit and then get some window time. And what I've told John is I'd like to see him test for his CDL like early summer, late spring, early summer, so he can have a little window time, not when it's snowing outside, but just normal. So he can get his CDL, like I said, early summer is the plan. They have also, both of them have the applications for their operator in training has been sent to the state. We're just waiting for them to get the paperwork back. What that does is basically kind of starts the clock for them, because you can, in the state of Vermont, you can take the test to be an operator anytime you want to, but you can't actually be an operator until you've got 2 years in. So we want to start that clock so they can start to compile those 2 years, as well as get these credits. They have to get so many these extra training credits that they have to compile as well. So the applications are in. Once we get that back, they will be operators in training, and then they will be working towards becoming an actual operator. So
This is on highway or sewer?
this is on water and sewer.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
the CDL is the highway. So one of them already has CDL good to go. The other is studying for his permit so that we can get him moving that way too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
No.
Okay. Any other new or old business under highway? All right. Is there a motion to go into the Board of Water Commissioners?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second? All
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
So again, this is John's report to you. Yeah, I'm open to anything you want, if you want some changes or more information or whatever. Just a couple quick highlights. Taylor Hill, we were having some issues with pressures staying where they were supposed to be. We had a leak. It was actually there was a leak on a service line that was the owner's, but we were also having problems with the system fluctuating more than it should have. So what we found out was one of the check valves on one of the 5 horsepower lift station pumps was bad, had gone bad. I think that pump station over there, Taylor Hill is quite a few years old. So with the hard water and everything, it's not unusual for something like this to happen. It's just a rubber check valve thing. So, but the guys took it apart and put a new one in, and it's holding pressures a lot better now. So something that we did in-house that I thought was, a little bit more detailed and a little bit more specific type of work, but they did a really good job and got everything fixed up. So we're holding pressures again up there. The other thing is we have a hydrant issue on Green Square. This is something that's been happening before. John and I talked about it a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit more exploration to find out what's going on. The reason we're thinking about it is we're going to be kind of in that area anyway, with paving and all that. So it would be nice to try to take care of all this at one time. If it's something that would require a new pipe, we don't want to, pave the road and then 2 years later come in and dig the whole road up again to put pipes in the ground. So we're going to look at it a little closer and talk to the engineers and see if it is truly a hydrant issue, if it's a line issue, what is it that's causing this low flow? Because the hydrant on the corner flows just fine, but this hydrant, which is just up the street, it doesn't have enough flow to it. So there's a constriction somewhere. And so just want to do a little more work and see if we can maybe figure it out. And if we need to put a line in the ground, now would be the time to do it. I'll keep you up to date on kind of what's going on with that.
You know exactly where the hydrant is by any chance, Greg?
Yeah, it's at the end. So it's the first left that you take onto Green Square. It's a hydrant there at the very end.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And the thing that's funny to me is that the hydrant at the intersection flows really good. So from there to there, which there's no elevation or very little elevation, and it's only 150 feet, it's not flowing. So something's happening between that one and that one. And there was some talk about upsizing the line upstream, but I mean, that's always good to upsize a line. But if the hydrant downstream is flowing okay, then it's not upstream of that, it's downstream of that. So we need to do a little more research and find out. And the reason why, we're doing this is because I don't want to pave all of this and then have to go in and cut the water line out, and cut the road. So we want to see if it's something we can do preemptively before we pave that area.
Is that a loop in Green Square?
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not.
No.
No. It actually, from what John told me, it actually comes from both sides. So it kind of sort of creates a loop, but not on Green Square itself. Because that's the first thing I said, Tom, was if this was looped, then we could probably fix this issue. But it's actually coming from different directions, the source water. So it's sort of inherently looped, but it's not physically looped, I guess. But we're going to figure something out with it, I think. And, not now may be the time to do it, but it may be that it's not even on the main road. It may be up on Green Square itself, off the lateral going up the hill. So,
Are there only 2 hydrants on Green Square, one at each end?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I think there's one. It's kind of in the middle of the dooryards up there. It's
Okay.
kind of a weird situation up there.
Right.
Yeah.
The Patch Street hydrant, did the water main break when that got repaired? Did that help the hydrant?
No.
That was
No,
right
that's-
there.
No, that's another issue. That's something else with either the hydrant gone bad or the lateral line that came off of it. Because we had, it's kind of the same situation. We've got decent flows around it, and we've got elevation down there. That's a low spot, so we should have good pressure and flow. But flow is the issue. Flow is the issue everywhere. It's not pressure necessarily, it's flow. So there's a constriction of water somewhere.
That's been the one we've had issues with, right? For the last like 2 years or more.
Yeah, those have been on the, I think those have been on the paperwork to be something done with them. It just never happened. So we're trying to explore what we need to do. Because we found out when the Patch Street break, the line is actually bigger than what we thought it was. So that means it's got more flow, which just increases the likelihood that there's something wrong with either the hydrant or the lateral coming off of the main. We just got to do more exploration to it.
Okay.
The delinquent accounts, what are we gonna do with those this spring?
You took the words out of my mouth.
That's on my page to ask what we're doing with delinquents.
Well, what has been the plan in the past? So we can write the pink, send the pink letters out to everybody and let them know that they need to pay these or they can be shut off. Whatever the select board recommends is what we'll do. I'm not really sure what exactly has happened in the past. I know there's been a hesitancy or even maybe a physical issue with shutting some of these people off due to not knowing where all the curb stops are at and things like that. But I'm for whatever select board chooses. I come from the area where, if you don't pay your bills, you don't get the utility. But, I do know that we waived some fees, but we never said, other than the state requirements, that we can't shut people off. I mean, I think that's kind of one of the determining factors is we have to wait until the governor or whoever says that we're allowed to do that. Because the whole COVID thing, they're not happy with people shutting utilities off.
Well, and we can't do it during the winter anyway.
No.
Yeah, there's all sorts of rules, but I believe part of the governor's thing is that utilities are not supposed to be shutting people off either due to the COVID.
Yeah.
That is a thing. I'm just asking because it's on the report and I know that we need to put curb stops in. So I was wondering if we were going forward with that while we're waiting for this to be lifted, I guess is what I want to say.
I think the plan is yes. It's not anything that can happen now because it's winter, but there is a plan to definitely put curb stops in and also look for curb stops. It may be, we've got maps and maps and maps around here. It may be that a lot or some that we think aren't there are actually there. I do know that there's a lot of them that are in the wrong spot. We have to get them. The issue is we have to get them out to the right of way because that's the ordinance states now that from the right of way out is the towns. So in order to shut it off, it's technically and legally, it's got to be in the right of way. So that's been a problem. I talked to Stan about this. He said, yeah, we have to start moving them because I think at one time the ordinance said that the water line was the town's, wasn't it, from all the way to the house. So the curb stops basically were sitting right outside the house. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now it's the property line. So
my other question is if we're doing that, if we're doing the Willow Street project, when that comes up through that sewer, are we going to move those curb stops at the same time since we're going to have the road torn up, or are we going to wait?
Well, the curb stops are usually on the yard. They're usually within the yard, all the way to the house or like right at the property line, out of the roadway.
Not where I live.
Are you talking about the mainline valves possibly?
Yeah, our curb stops, I think, are further in than that, but I'm not positive. I'm just asking the question, did we look at that and do we have that figured in this Willow Street?
We do not, because this is sewer only. So the Willow Street is basically fixing manholes, replacing some manholes, some line, putting new line in, things like that, trying to stop the infiltration. I will tell you, if there's a curb stop issue while we're doing the project and they're cutting in that area or doing whatever, we'll jump on it and do something anyway. If there's a broken curb stop or we find one that we didn't know was there, we're definitely going to do something with it. We'll have to raise it up to grade anyway before they pave. So we'll be involved with it, and we'll, if something needs to be repaired or replaced or whatever, that would be the time to do it. So we'll do it for sure.
Yeah, because wouldn't it make sense? I mean, we were kind of really on a good pace for a while, like a year or two ago, with all these curb stops and all these shutoffs and kind of moving along forward. So it seems that, we know which ones need to be moved. So it seems like it'd be ideal time. So once something's torn up, you move them then, so we don't tear up again and then, try to replace it then. So that might be
And it kind of is going to depend on exactly where, because the project is not a full blown, tear everything up and do everything new. It's kind of piecemeal here and there sort of thing. But yeah, definitely we'll be completely involved with that. And if there's an opportunity to work on some of our own infrastructure under their construction area, we'll do that. I mean, that makes total sense. The area is the traffic control is already there. We can get our equipment in there, do our thing and get out for sure.
So Greg, Stan had a list of curb stops that needed to be moved.
Right.
So if you go through his stuff, you should be able to find it. There was, I think, about 20 or 25 of them.
Okay.
That were either one curb stop controlled more than one house, or they had to be moved into the right of way. And for a while there, we were working. Anytime the guys had some free time, they were working on one at a time, getting all of those moved so that we would be in a better shape.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll look for that.
I think one of those areas is on North Street. It's 3 houses, 1 curb stop. So I don't recall where on North Street, if it's anywhere near we're going to be tearing up, but if it is, we should think about doing that at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, it's right on the corner of Gorham Bridge and North.
Yes.
The 3 houses right there. They're
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll look for it. Let me make a note of that and I'll look for that for sure.
So how are the delinquent accounts over the past 12 months? Is there a jump in them or?
Not significant. The last time we looked, it was, I can't remember the percentage, but I can check in and get it back to you, but it wasn't as big as you would think. Taxes as well. It wasn't really as bad as we were kind of expecting it to happen. Again, we got a long way to go still, but I can definitely get you a delinquent report at the next meeting, let you know kind of where we stand this time last year, and then what we got this year.
Okay.
I'd like to see that on every meeting with the summer coming up here, the delinquents. Seems to be.
I think we're getting them once a month from Stan.
Yeah, once a month.
Yeah.
Water and sewer or water sewer taxes? Just water sewer?
Water sewer.
It was water sewer.
Okay. All right. I will get that for the next meeting.
Is there anything else under the water? Is there a motion to go out of water commissioners into the Board of Sewage Commissioners?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Report under sewage.
Yep. So again, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you. I'm trying to think of the only things are going well. All the tests are coming back fine. It's kind of a slow time of year. It's a sewer is a biological thing, and so in the winter it slows way down. The only really thing we had that sort of was something was we had a toilet here at the new building got plugged up with toilet paper, and we had to call A1, and they had to come in with their machine and jet the line out and get it all cleaned out. Nothing spilled into the building or anything like that, so it was kind of not a big issue, but it did happen. So first thing we checked, because I guess there's the sewer, the actual line that once it leaves the building and goes out to the main has had some issues in the past, and John was going to fix it. And I think this is something that, Lisa, I have Lisa Wright coming in too, because she's going to speak about the San Souci stuff. So she's coming in. So anyway, there was some sewer, I think some sewer lines that needed to be fixed in front of our building, and they hadn't gotten to them yet. So John has called out locates, and as soon as everything gets settled down with snow and everything, his plan is to get in there and fix that up. It's a one-day thing. It's just coming from, we have in the middle of the parking lot, there's a clean out there. I think it's going from right about there out to the main line in the street. So we'll get that fixed up. That did not cause the issue that we had with this. It was basically just too much toilet paper. We had thick toilet paper, and it just it plugged up. Once it got through the toilet, it plugged up the line underneath the building, which is a brand new line. But they cleared it out
It
and it went.
doesn't happen at my house. Why did it happen there?
What? A toilet clog?
Yeah. You know, I use toilet paper. My line doesn't plug up. Do we have is that a low flush toilet?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the rating is or whatever, but I'm sure it is because everything's sort of the newest, latest and greatest type stuff.
Okay.
That's kind of unusual.
So I will tell you, the toilet paper we had was like pillowcases. So we have gone to a smaller ply type paper. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue anymore. So again, the plan is the locates have been done. Plan is to get out there either, I don't know what is, it's either this week or next week, kind of depending on weather, to get that thing fixed up so that there's no other, so because it's something I think that should have been done a while ago and has been put off and put off and put off. And it needs
Right.
to be.
Yeah, it's the
You
old,
put a sign up saying one sheet only.
Right. Yeah. I'm not
Rational.
going to check on that though.
We're gonna dig in the road with the frost we have.
He's waiting. Well, yeah, he's waiting for the weather to warm up a little bit, but we can bring back when you're digging, you can bring in material. If you've got good material to backfill with, we'll bring in, which we do usually anyway. Most of our excavations that we deal with, they truck the material away and they bring in better new material. So I'm assuming that's what his plan is. I haven't talked the specifics out with him yet, but I have to assume what he's
Our
going to do.
backhoe has a hard time with frost.
Does it? Well, if that is the case, then maybe it's worth, I hate to delay it because I know that it's something that needed to be done a while ago. But if that backhoe, if we haven't got the right equipment to do the job, then there's really no reason to even spin our wheels doing it.
So is it from the center of the parking lot out to the road?
No, he told me it's about the back of the sidewalk, right about in front of the wall. It goes
Oh,
across towards the front and then it goes out this way and then kind of goes that way. So it's right out by the wall. And so I think that's where he has to tie onto it and then take it to the road where it ties into the main line.
don't
But
have to knock that wall down. Don't be careful.
no, we're going to stay away from the wall as far as we can. That's for sure. But if the backhoe isn't going to do the job, then now is not the time to do it. But, and depending on, John to know that he can do it if he thinks he can do it. But I'll definitely talk to him about it if he wants to wait. I think part of this is because I think he understands as well as I do is that this is something that should have been done already. And so there was a little bit of a push to try to get it done so that it's just one more thing that we can put to bed. But I'll talk with him about it. And if it's not going to work, then it's not going to work.
Yeah, I'd rather wait a couple months than ruin our backhoe.
This is not cost efficient digging in February and when we don't need to.
yeah, let's wait for warmer weather just to be safe.
Okay. Let me talk with John.
He can
Yep.
flush those lines with more water until the frost goes out. We've got a jetter.
Okay. Anything else on the report? Anybody have questions on? Any other news, old or new for sewage? Is there a motion to go out of sewage and back into the regular select board meeting?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the BLSG January 21 draft minutes.
I did not attend that meeting.
Yep.
Bruce, did you?
Yes.
Maybe you could speak to it.
Yeah, it really wasn't an awful lot. The one thing that did come up, and that's not in the report, but Salisbury was questioning their contribution and Will supplied them with some information, and they were questioning the individual spraying up there, and they didn't get what they thought was value for their dollars that they spent. So that may come up in March, however Salisbury votes. But and they're still they were looking. They do have an outfit in Middlebury that's familiar with their budgeting stuff and accounting, and they'll be doing they're changing accounting firms and putting some more effort into that. They're going to take some funds that they have and put a money in a legal fund of $5,000, so that in case there's some cases, at least they'll start building up an account for that. It'll make it easier to account down through. So
Bruce, is Salisbury looking at leaving?
well, there's a possibility. Apparently there's one talk from one person. I have no idea whether they're on the board or just an individual person that asked for this thing, because they contribute about $25,000 and they didn't think they were getting $25,000 back. But again, it was a dry year, so
yeah.
Exactly. So March will probably determine that and how that will affect their budget. I'm sure it will.
So if they pull out, will that impact others?
I would imagine it might. So we won't know till March.
Okay.
There's the next meeting is scheduled for the 18th, and I'll be on that one
Okay.
too. So maybe Tom can too. So
All right.
it was they're changing a lot of stuff with their accounting and checking accounts and the whole thing. It's nothing that that's not because there's any shortage of money or anything at this point. The treasurer's report shows $170,000 within their capital improvements and checking account. So I think that's a pretty good start for next year.
Okay.
This spring.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Okay, going on to the bills. Is there any questions regarding the bills?
Not I.
All right.
Pay them.
Huh?
I said, we got to pay them.
Okay, I'll sign them tomorrow.
So Lisa Wright is here to speak a little bit more intelligently than I can about the San Souci agreement. She's going to talk about what this is about. I received this, and basically what I can see, and she can elaborate, is that it's a new year. We have everything coming up with taxes and everything. So there are potential changes to the valuation of the Green Mountain Power plant and other pieces. And I think this agreement is for San Souci or for us to utilize their services again to look into some changes, some potential changes to valuation. Lisa, you could probably explain a lot better than I just did.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm happy to. I tried to get in touch with Skip over the last week since Greg asked me to appear at this meeting, and I wasn't able to really have much of a conversation with him until today. And then he offered to join in with this meeting tonight so he could answer any of your questions directly. Kind of makes more sense than him telling me and then me telling you. So I have him available. I'll just send him a quick email and have him join us if that's all right. And then if we have any, if you have any more technical questions, you know, we can get started, but we'll have him available. Give me just a sec. If that's all right with everybody?
Sounds
Sure.
good.
Okay, hold on just a minute. Okay, so hopefully he'll join us momentarily, and you can be checking for him, Greg. So what's on the table is the question of an annual update. This is what we did in West Rutland, and the reason in a nutshell why it's necessary is the way utility assessments work is the utilities are required to give us an inventory every year, which is pretty detailed and pretty technical and always has additions and deletions. And the reason we hired Mr. Sansucci's firm in the first place is because I'm a licensed appraiser. I am not a commercial appraiser. Even if I were a commercial appraiser, I would not have the expertise to appraise something as complex and specialized as a utility plan. So we brought in Mr. Sansucci for that. And frankly, until something changes with the way this is done with the state, which is something I'm hopeful for, but not holding my breath, we assessors need help from, continuing help from Sansucci to interpret those inventories. Otherwise, you're potentially throwing away, or you're not ready to defend your values in the subsequent year. It's a new game every year. We're hopeful that some of these pending appeals, that maybe some agreement will come about regarding methodology and maybe simplifying this so that we don't have to do this on an ongoing basis every single year. But so there I see Skip has joined us. So I just gave him the background of the inventory and why I feel it's necessary to get your assistance because of those inventory forms that we get every year with very detailed and very technical information that I just don't have the specialized knowledge to interpret that.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
Good.
Lisa asked me to join you to go over what occurs with updates. You're early in the process, and I mean the process is us progressively training the town in doing these in-house and having us as resource in the future on helping solve problems and questions like that. This year, we're coming off of our first year. And this year, what we do or will do is, number one, we'll revalue Velco, because Velco was revalued each year to bring the value up to its current reproduction cost, new, less depreciation. So each year that you don't revalue Velco, it's just money that you lose. It's that simple. So that's the first step. The second step is we always go through and proof out the information that comes in from Green Mountain Power for the distribution system in the streets. And there's always certain types of problems with that and everything else, and then make sure that's valued correctly. The third item, of course, is the hydroelectric plant. And the hydroelectric plant, right now, we have valued it, but it also, we're getting information, more information on it as time goes on, and we'll get more information from this year's data request. So we want to find out where the new turbines and the new powerhouse settles in so that we can get the hydroelectric plant probably on some type of multi-year schedule going forward. But with the price of electricity changing as much as it does, two things can occur. One, the value can go up, but also if natural gas prices tank even further, if the price is going to go down, you're going to want to know that so that you don't lose an appeal in the future. So we balance those two and try to find a happy medium. Right now, the prices are at the lowest they're going to be for the moment on gas prices, which create the electric prices, so to speak. Vermont is moving away further and further from any form of fossil fuel generation, which means that your avoided cost in Vermont for electricity is going to be driven by the cost of renewable resources in the state of Vermont and Hydro-Quebec's contribution to that. So as that bleeds in and the value slowly creeps up, you'll pick up that value creep by doing the power plant. What might come out of the case, of course, is a settlement whereby we'll establish a fixed way to do it for a certain number of years. You don't want to lock in for a long period of time because things change, especially for the better usually. But what we like to see is getting the hydros locked in 5-year blocks of time, if possible, if there's no further changes. And then you're allowed to pick up any new additions and that sort of thing. And we're hoping to try to get that on. So that's kind of why you want to consider doing your annual pickups like you would any other class of property. The utilities are just a class of property that you're seeking to pick up. You've got one utility namely the hydroelectric plant, that moves with the price of electricity. Its long-term move is going to probably be up. And they're putting in improvements all the time. You got another utility, Velco, the main transmission line that goes up annually because it's revalued each year based on its reproduction cost, new less depreciation, to keep it at full value. And then if they add any additional property, any new wires, new poles of any kind on Velco, those would also be added. And then you've got the transmission and the distribution, which is the streets, and that moves less quickly unless you build a lot of houses. I don't know if you've got a big building boom, but if you don't have a lot of houses being built, that's going to move gradually.
Hasn't hit Proctor yet, Skip.
A lot of places it hasn't hit. So that will be going up gradually, and there's really an audit function there because they rush those forms out, and there's always something missing, or there's always something that miscalculated. But there's also the way that they calculate certain columns are not value related. It's just what they want to put in, stick in the value. So we work through that with them and hopefully get to a consensus with them. And so they know that we're watching. And when they find out that we're watching, then you begin to get more accurate reporting, less favorable to them, more accurate for you. So that's kind of what we do. I will tell you that, the hydroelectric plant is a valuation. So you're getting in the price, I think it was 7,500, Lisa, around there.
Yes.
You're getting a mass appraisal, but you're getting an appraisal on the hydroelectric plant within that, which is pretty favorable cost. And you're getting the complete increase or the complete appraisal again for the upgrades of and the increase in value on Velco. So those two combined are fairly substantial for the price. And then the constant monitoring of Green Mountain Power. I don't see that cost going down until we get into skips, what we call skips, where you begin skipping years and phasing in and doing it once every 2 years, once every 3 years. So the company knows that you're keeping track of them. And that's ultimately the goal, is to bring that back down so that you can do it during the reval, and then you can do it, up to 5 years, but that's the longest. Now with Velco, I will tell you that you'll probably lose 15% value in that period of time that you would have otherwise gotten to 10 to 15%, because Velco is going up at a certain clip each year. And that's because of the cost to build new transmission lines that you're picking up. And it's greater than the rate of depreciation. If there's any spike in gas prices, and for any reason, the price of electricity is going up for Proctor Hydro. And when that happens, you'll see a bump on the one hand. On the other hand, we want to, if we can find a way to value it on an annual basis as a compromise with Green Mountain, so we don't get into an appeal every single year, you also want to consider that. And we won't find that out until we get through the appeals that we currently have with Green Mountain.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So basically, if the state doesn't change their process and the way they do this with Velco, Green Mountain Power, especially Velco, I'm concerned because we ran into this, and this is why we are where we are now with Green Mountain Power and Velco, is because you did a different assessment the way they did their assessment. So if you continue that process, are we going to run into this again? Because we're not going to be comparing apples to apples.
You're going to run into it until they finally realize that you're not going to run scared, and they're going to come to the table with a reasonable compromise on how we're going to do it. I mean, they were at 6 million. The mere fact that we hit the streets, so to speak, they went to 9 million. Well, that's a 50% increase just for showing our face. And then we went, was it 17 million? It was the final number?
14.9.
14.9.
For the hydro and the bridge, we reconfigured the parcels, put them together as they kind of should have been, where the bridge was with the land and it's with the hydro plant. Now, that figure does include the bridge assessment.
And that is still pretty reasonable. They wouldn't let us in last year to tour the inside of the plant because of COVID. We're going to try to do it again this year and try to get into the plant. So we went conservative until we saw the inside of the plant. So on the one hand, you're worried about getting appeals every year. You're going to get them every year for a little while to see how much they can scare you into backing down to what's likely going to be their 9 million, 8, 9, 10 million range. Or you're going to maintain your 14, 15 million, or you're going to have some type of compromise. So with the tax rate that you have, you've got that 55 million on the table year in, year out. But at some point, we want to come to a resolution with them. And it's either going to be through the courts, or it's going to be some type of compromise that they approach Lisa on, approach yourselves or myself on going forward and phased in going forward so that they don't appeal anymore. But you can expect them to try to push you around for the next year or two on this, or 3 years. That goes with the turf, and that's what they depend on. They depend on the towns backing down immediately.
Let's talk about what's in it for Proctor. I mean, honestly, we probably wouldn't be doing this in Proctor. I haven't brought Sanssouci into Paul, for instance, and I didn't in Wallingford because we couldn't afford skip services for the amount of inventory we had in that town. So arguably, Proctor and West Rutland are doing work for the rest of the state, it's in your interest because you have so much of a valuable asset in town. I mean, West Rutland, we've got a $40 million substation, and Proctor, you've got this $15 million hydro dam. That's substantial. I mean, if you look at what you'd lose, we'd be talking 15 million to if we were forced to give them their 9 million that they're throwing out there, we'd be talking about $63,000 a year municipally alone. And it's another 245 or 161 a year difference that you'd lose on the education side. Now, that isn't Proctor's money in the same way. We don't see it that way, and that's kind of a sticking point that we're still working around too, is that we're doing the work for the state, in a sense, for the state ed fund for education taxes throughout the state. And the state is not giving us any assistance with the defense of those assessments. But I just want to be very clear, their assessment and that inventory is not, it's not a full appraisal in the same sense that Mr. Sansucci has done. We're not really comparing apples to apples in that sense with that, in my opinion.
Right.
The whole inventory process and the Iowa curve and all of that the state came up with was so that the towns could get a small piece of that utility assessment.
Right.
It doesn't really push it to full fair market value. And to me, that's an inequity right there. Everybody else in the state of Vermont pays, our standard of fairness is based on you pay on your property's fair market value. That's not what we're assessing utilities with if we're using that inventory method.
Now, there's a fight that's been waiting to happen, which is happening right now, and that's Velco. Velco has driven their values down to less than a 25-year depreciation curve on transmission lines that are going to be in the ground 75 to 100 years. And West Rutland and town of Vernon have basically dug their heels in the ground on this, because they both host at each end the major substations. West Rutland's 40 to 50 million, $40 million substation. Vernon is 100 million, because they've got the line that comes in from New Hampshire and brings all the power, the southern 2/3 of the state, into the state of Vermont through the New Hampshire line. And the substations in Vernon, which gets it up into your line. It's going to go to trial, and there's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight over this, and it's going to.
Good times.
What's that?
Good times.
Yeah. And it's going to set the methodology on the Velco major transmission lines on a statewide basis, at least on the big 345,000 volt, which is what you have in Proctor. It goes up through the corner of Proctor. So you've got, they're going to fight that fight for you in this particular case. The hydro fight is being fought right now up in Sheldon with the Missisquoi Hydro, but it's done with the state appraiser. And I'm not sure how much it's going to stick around the state, so to speak. The last one was Bellows Falls that we won, and that set the standard for the valuation of hydros in the state, because it went to the Vermont Supreme Court and we were upheld. And that was around 2013-ish, 2014-ish. And that's the one that we're operating off of at this time. I don't know what's going to come out of Sheldon at this point. But that hydro is in court along with Whitingham. Those are the two that are in both ends of the state that are in court on hydros that help lay down the methodology. Neither one of those are owned by Green Mountain Power. Green Mountain has its own hydros, 45 of them, but neither one of those are Green Mountain Power and how they're going to deal with it. Green Mountain Power's single biggest problem is they're one of the biggest buyers in New England. and they've been buying hydroelectric plants, and they can't run from the prices they've been paying. And your value takes into consideration Green Mountain Power's purchases over time as comparable market sales, along with others, but they definitely are in the mix because they're a sophisticated buyer. And that's where they're going to have trouble running from. We were very careful to play down the bridge. The bridge, it was a potential soft spot in evaluation of Proctor because it was necessary for them to access the dam, but it didn't necessarily create more electricity. We all know they had to have a bridge, but my thinking is that that bridge will slowly get bled in value-wise or cost-wise over time as the price of electricity goes up. But we didn't want to gild the lily with the bridge. So, you know, we put that back on the same card. We considered it. It's part of the value, but we didn't go overboard with it. If we had gone overboard, you'd be around 17.5 million. So we just wanted to, you know, point that out. But you've got some fights going on right now that are going to be beneficial in guiding you because you're not in the forefront, not in the front league of the fights, you know.
So
So does anybody have any questions? So does anybody want to have time to review this agreement and make a decision at a later date? Any comments?
I'd like to have a chance to look at it and make a decision at a later date.
Okay, so we'll table this and put it on to the next meeting. Is that anybody else's consensus?
Yes.
Okay.
can I just say, we do have a little bit of time. We won't get the inventories from the utilities for a little while now, but you know, we do want to give Sans Souci time to get their work done and time for our grand list to be, you know, in sync with all of that. So
Okay.
your next meeting would be good to.
Okay. So we'll move it to the next February meeting, Greg.
Awesome.
Will do. Yep.
Thank you.
Judy, if any of the board members have any questions, get them to Lisa and I, and we'll answer them for you. No problem. We'll get them up to you on email.
Okay.
You know what I mean? This is a long process. It's utilities are a fourth category of property, commercial, industrial, and residential, and utilities, because they are taking up an ever larger component of your grand list as time goes on. So they are becoming a fourth category of property. That's what we deal with. So it's a process, and we will work with you, your budgets, you know, your capabilities, but it's a process of managing these utility values on a long-term basis.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll move this to the February, I believe it's what, 24th? All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Is that a Wednesday?
22nd.
No, 22nd.
Monday, the 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, let us know if you'd like me and or Skip to be there.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm available, so I can call in too if you would like.
Okay.
Hey,
Perfect.
thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful.
Thank you both.
Lisa, thank you.
Yeah.
And have a good
Thanks.
evening.
Have a good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Personnel policy revision.
So in your packet is just a quick little revision to our policy where we changed insurances. Before we actually stipulated what insurance we were, that we had Blue Cross and Blue Shield in the policy, and all I did was just make it a little cleaner so that we were able to switch between different plans that both have the premium and the gold plan. Just kind of cleans it up a little bit. So if there are no issues, or if there are issues, let me know. If not, I'd just like to have the select board approve the policy, and I'll change it up.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the changes to the policy?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Rutland County Sheriff report. Any comments or questions on that? Okay. The manager's report.
So just a couple little highlights here. The South Street Sidewalk Project, I don't know if you remember that, it's a grant we're looking to get to do some sidewalk down South Street. We have to get a MPM, which is a municipal project manager. It's in the grant, it stipulates that if we don't have anybody in-house that can do it, that we need to hire a company. I had a committee put together. We chose Du Bois and King to do this. The original proposal came in way higher than anticipated. So I have been working with them to try to get that down quite a bit. They looked at the scope of the project a little closer and they think that they can bring it down substantially. So I'm waiting for them to resubmit their proposal for those MPM services. Once that's done, we can move forward on the grant and kind of get to the next step, which would be some design and then right-of-way acquisition and things like that. Probably 2 years out, I'm guessing, before we actually see shovels on the ground. But I'll let you know when we get the resubmittal from Du Bois and King and see if it comes in a little bit more reasonable based on the size of the project.
Did anybody else put any kind of bid in or anything, or no?
Well, what we did was they allow us to do I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically they being the state have already vetted like 5 companies that they feel meet all the requirements. And what I did was I put together a committee of I had some select board people, as well as I think Gail Christie and some others were on it, and they scored it. So there was a matrix that the state had where you score the different companies and come up with a winner, if you will, and negotiate with them first. And that was Du Bois and King. So if let's say this falls through and we can't come to a good contract on this, we'll basically move to the next company. And I'm not sure who that is, but so we didn't really put this out to a real formal bid process. We did a smaller, because it's a small project, small budget. We thought we would just do it a little quicker and use the state's companies that they already had on the books.
Okay.
The
Thanks.
Beaver Pond Trail is moving forward still. I met with Frank Bayette and our engineers, design engineers. I met with them last week. Showed Frank the potential changes, which basically takes the trail from dissecting his property. Now it moves it to the right of way. It's not in the right of way, but it's along the roadway, set about 25 feet off the edge of the asphalt. So it's on his property, but it's down the bank a little ways off of the asphalt. So it's nice and safe. That's good because that gets it off the middle of his property and gets it along the edge, as well as it allows him to do some parallel parking for his project and things like that, or for his events or whatever, if he needs to. But it's far enough away, again, that we have parking available, plus we have enough of a width there to have a nice trail. So he was okay with it. They're going to put pen to paper and sort of get the final concept here. I'm going to have him sign it so that at the end of this, he doesn't say, well, I changed my mind, I don't want to do it. So we're going to have him sign off on some sort of an agreement that says he's okay with it. And then kind of move forward on the actual real design and see where we come up with a budget and kind of move forward on that one. The water department, the well house, as you all know, we had the well went down a few weeks ago. I did put together a cost for that, and the cost comes to about $22,200. That was for the new motor. That was for pulling the well, putting in the new controller, the variable speed controller, all of that, as well as some electrical and things like that, comes to about $22,000. So something we definitely have to keep our eyes on. And if there's any issues or anything that we can detect ahead of time, we're going to do our best to do that. So Carrie had asked me how to find out about illicit discharges. Basically what I did is I went to the state. The DEC has a website you can go to and sign up for notifications. So I am now on their email and text list. So if there are any illicit discharges into Otter Creek, I will be notified by that system. So I think it's probably the same thing Stan had, but I'm sure they had his old email address and everything. So now if something happens and it's more than, basically it says if it's more than like 2 gallons, it has to be they have to be notified, and it'll be sent out to everybody. So moving forward, if something happens, I should get notified through that system.
Awesome. Thank you.
Newton Street, we had a dog issue, which I'm sure you all hopefully have read all the information that I sent to you. Just a heads up, I have the hearing set up for Thursday, the 5th, I believe.
No,
The
the
11th.
11th.
Sorry, 11th. Yeah. So the 11th, Thursday, the 11th at 5 o'clock. It'll be Zoom. I believe the sheriff is going to come down here and sit with me like he did last time, which is fine. But just wanted to put that on your on the old calendar there. Thursday, the 11th at 5 o'clock. Hopefully you have all the information. I sent everything that I have to you. If you have any questions, I can get you if there's anything else you need. I do have some more pictures, but I don't know if you need any more pictures, honestly.
No.
Town report is at the printers. I actually got the proof back today at about 12:30. They sent it to me FedEx. I thought it would be digital, but they sent it to me FedEx. I looked through it. Celia looked through it. There were a couple minor issues, but we sent it back and approved it, and they will be printing that. They're supposed to have that back to us by Friday afternoon, and we'll send it out USPS either Friday afternoon or we'll get it done Monday morning. It'll go out to everybody. Post office is aware it's going to be done bulk mail, so they're waiting for us to just get them all printed out and get them sent over there. So, Marble Museum, Tom had asked me to put together a letter, or actually you all have a letter to the trust about what is the plan for moving forward. I drafted that letter. I sent it to everybody for review, and it was sent out February 1st, and I haven't heard anything back yet. That was actually sent to the president of the trust. So hopefully I'll be hearing something back from them soon, and we can schedule some sort of a meeting to get together and kind of see what they have planned for that. That's my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question about the town report.
Mhm.
And so typically we haven't mailed it. So I'm wondering, did we budget for it to be mailed? And if we didn't budget for that, where are we taking that from?
Yep.
How is that fitting in our budget?
We have extra money in there to mail it. It's in there. It'll be all right. That combined with, because I know in the past they had like students or something had sent them out, had walked them around and delivered them, I think. We came in a little lower on the actual cost of the document because we eliminated a few pages here and there. Plus, it's in there. That money's going to have to be in there. I mean, we don't have a choice either. We can't deliver them with COVID and all that.
Well, I understand that. I'm just asking how that fits into the budget and where we took the money from to put in the budget.
It's still, so there is a line item for town report, and it'll come out of that line item, and we'll still be under budget. We'll be fine. We've also are saving money on the election too, which would come out of some of that same stuff. But we've got some grants that have been out there for using the tabulator and programming that tabulator and all that goes along with it. As well as printing the postcards and printing some of the warning stuff. We're getting reimbursements on that. So that'll be some cost savings there. But again, those should be sent out. I'm hoping if they get early enough on Friday, I'll send them over on Friday, but most likely it'll be Monday morning. We'll get those sent out to everybody. We're required to have them to everybody and sent out 10 days before. I don't know if we're going to make that. So we're probably going to, this has been done in the past. It gets done about every year. We put in the paper, the warning is put in the paper. It's just basically the statute says, if you can't make the window, put it in the paper. And because we're so close, we're probably going to end up doing that. It's not a big deal. It happens a lot, honestly.
We were sued at the city of Rutland because we didn't have our annual report out on time.
Yeah. So we put it in the paper saying, here it is, here's the warning and everything. So that part at least is out there. That covers us if we're a day late getting it out. I hope we're not going to be. I hope they get it to me.
So everything, it's not going media mail, right? It's going bulk mail. So what's the tabulated number of days it takes to deliver that when it's bulk? Because media mail is up to 14 days.
Yeah, it's asking it. So what it says is it has to be sent out 10 days. I believe it's 10 days before the election. You have to send it out. So if we get let me see here. If we get it by the 12th and we get it sent out on the, so the 15th is a holiday as well. That's another thing that kind of burned us. So if we go the 16th, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll be okay. But if we get delayed for any reason, I talked to Celia and she just thought it was, because we're figuring about 2 days. By the time we get it there, it's going right out of our post office. So by the time we get it to them, there's probably about a 2-day turnaround, 2 or 3 days. I think that's about what it took for your little cards that you got, was a few days. So if we have 3 days, but I believe the clock starts whenever we send it out. It's not when it gets to you, because we have no control over the Postal Service. It's the day we send it out. Judy, you guys do this in Rutland as well. I believe it's a 10-day window from the day you send it. It's postmarked.
Yeah, we have to have it in hand. Well, we in hand to people by the election, so they have it to review beforehand. We have an ordinance though, where we have to have it out, and it basically stated in November, which we always used to have it before elections in March. So now we get it out in November, so that.
In November. Well, I believe statute says it's a 10 days. It has to be postmarked 10 days before the election. So we should be fine.
Ours was date specific, so.
Yeah, if we don't have to put it in the paper, we won't, but we're just trying to cover our backside just in case.
Now, will you have any in-house at the town offices, just in case? Because last year we didn't get them out either in time. The mail held on to some of them. So people didn't have them before the town meeting, and people were not happy.
I plan on having extras. I ordered the same amount that Stan had, and I was told there were extras laying around. I've got 4 or 5 copies.
So last year, everyone received theirs. There was not a single complaint about people not receiving them.
It was
So-
the year prior. Yeah.
Last
It was
year,
the
you
year prior.
didn't mail them. Last year, they were hand delivered and not
Right.
one single complaint at town meeting or at a select board meeting.
Right.
So maybe it was 2019.
It was the year before that it happened, because
Okay.
down in my area.
There will be extras
We did
available
that.
at the clerk's office. If anybody needs them,
They said wanted one.
they'll be available, and we'll put something out on the webpage that there's extras available here if anybody needs one, for sure.
Well, they're gonna send you an electronic one too, right? To put on the web stuff.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Budget status, unless there's any other questions.
So it's been quite a while. I didn't realize how long it had been. I apologize before getting a budget status report to you. So I've put it it's in the packet. This is good up till February 5th of 2021. So it's pretty up to date. And everything so far is looking good. The thing that's in the red is, that's basically the building. Everything else looks like to me, it looks pretty good. We have that miscellaneous item still under administration. That is a carryover from the audit. I've been told over and over and over by Celia that that's something the auditors are going to adjust, and that number will go away. So it's just sort of a placeholder at this point.
That was one of my questions. I have a question on this. My other question is, so there's $310,000 deficit on town office renovation construction, but then there's a $299,000 at the beginning that you just talked about, municipal building. So is it really like that big, or is that supposed to be one?
So that's the way that we do when there's a capital improvement, because we don't have a capital improvement budget that's completely kind of by itself, where the expenses and the revenues kind of come in and out of that. We don't have that. It stays within the budget. So what we have is as an expense that's shown, a line item expense, which is the town renovation. That was the whole construction. And then as we accumulate that revenue, that goes into the revenue line, and they offset each other at the end of the day. So the problem with that, which is why you're giving me that look, is makes your budget look really wrong, right? Because it's not. It's an expense that was there, but there will be revenue, and it will be pulled from different places to offset that expense. What I would like to do moving forward down the road is, and this is what I've done in the past in other towns, is we have a capital improvement budget. It's separate. So as your revenues and your expenses and things are all being accrued and everything's coming in and out, it doesn't skew your overall budget, your general fund budget. It doesn't make that look so wrong, because it is wrong. It is wrong. That 310, granted, it was an expense, but it will be offset later on. So to answer your question in a long, short way, no, that number is not right. You basically want to take that number out and see what you have left over, which, you know, I can do that moving. I mean, that's just going to be an extra thing I can do. And if we can do that, but what we really need to do is when we do our budget, we need to keep those capital projects out of the general fund and keep them as their own separate item over here. And basically what you do is if you've got a revenue coming from the general fund into the capital budget for that item, it's just an expense item within the general fund. Say it's $10,000. It's just an expense of 10 that gets transferred to the revenue side of the capital fund. And then that all stays on its own thing, so that stays away from the general fund and doesn't skew the numbers. I know I'm kind of confusing you. Someday it will make sense when I show it to you. Okay. It just keeps it cleaner. It makes it a lot cleaner so that we're not throwing a bunch of money in and out of the general fund. Even though it does go through there, we're not really showing it as well. It kind of sets aside over here and makes the numbers more realistic on the general fund side. So that number, I'm not saying it's fictitious, but that number will be offset by revenues coming in.
Okay, and then I just had another question about the youth league insurance. Why is that such a big difference?
You know, that's what it came in at. I don't know if when the budget was being done last time, if it changed substantially, I don't know. But when we got the bill was itemized out with each different entity on it. And that's what the bill was. I don't know why it went up so much. I don't know. I don't know if Lisa's involved with it or not, but that's the only answer I have for you, is that when that bill came in, they were itemized, and that was the bill, that was the charge for that piece of it. And moving forward.
Can we request and find out why that is? Because that literally makes no sense for a piece of property that's used a short period of time, as when you look at the rink and you think about the risk there or the risk at the pool. I mean, we've had no injuries, no reports or anything there. So it doesn't make any sense.
Plus, I think when I look at it now, because that's not this year's figures that they gave us for the 2022 budget, because I want to say that one was only like, I think estimated at what, 700 something or something like that. I don't know. It was more than
279 was the budgeted amount for the proposed budget. So there's some kind of problem there.
Yeah, it's 377 for 2021 in this, but let me check on it and find out why there's such a jump in it, and I'll let you know. Because the big jump was really, this next year we actually saw a decrease overall. I think in this next year coming up, workman's comp and everything went up, but I think our liability had gone down overall.
And I think, well, our liabilities went up slight, like on pool and rink and stuff, and I know they did on the youth league, but this is showing that this is what the actual was for this past year.
Yeah.
Which is almost 3 times the amount. It is more than 4 times the amount of what we budgeted for. Yeah. That's kind of odd.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, let me check into if that number is accurate, and if it is, why it is what it is.
Okay.
That's with the Vermont League of Cities and Towns.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other questions on the budget status report? All right. Any other business anybody wants to bring up?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to go into executive session to continue discussion on personnel matters?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.